Manchester United have been linked with a £120 million move for Musiala, which I'm going to call complete nonsense on straight away. We're going to run through who said what, where's that story come from, is there any credibility in it, and bring you all the latest on that. Manchester United complete 2 summer signings, and Casemiro is expected to leave possibly in January, and we can finally put the Rabiot to Manchester United noise to bed as he closes in on a move to Marseille. This plus all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video, and let's jump straight on into it. So I'm going to kick off with the Musiala BS, I suppose I'm going to call it. So if you haven't, for those who don't know, there's been a lot of reports over the last couple of days linking Manchester United with a £120 million move for Musiala. Now, the gist of it is that apparently Musiala has rejected the latest contract offer from Bayern Munich as he enters into the last 18 months on his current deal. Reports are that he wants an increase in his salary from around £80,000 a week, which he's currently on, to around £300,000 a week. Apparently he's rejected their latest offer, which has led to loads of noise and loads of stories linking him with Manchester United. So I'm going to go through with who said what, where it come from, is it credible, and bring you the latest on that. So firstly, I traced the original story back to the Express. Now, what they were saying in regarding to Musiala was that the 21-year-old has been in talks over a new deal with the Bundesliga club, with his current contract expiring in the summer of 2026. But he has now reportedly rejected their latest offer, with Bayern seemingly reluctant to meet his wage demands. According to the Mirror, Musiala is demanding £300,000 a week, which advisors believe represents his value following his displays in the summer. City are far from the only club linked. However, Premier League rivals Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal, as well as Champions League leagues holders Real Madrid, are also said to be tracking the situation. So the story originally kind of came from the Express. It was mainly Man City, though, being linked with him, and then United's name got thrown in along with, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, because I'm sure there would be interest from pretty much probably every big club in the world if Musiala was available. But does that mean United are going for him? I don't think so. The more likely destination actually probably would be City, or it might be a bit of agent talk regarding his contract to get a better deal from Bayern Munich, which I'll go through in a second. But that's where all the kind of a noise originated from. The reason it's kind of gone a bit more mainstream is because it then got reported in the Manchester Evening News. Now, what they were saying was an article effectively saying that how Manchester United can fund the £120 million move for Musiala, and effectively, in a nutshell, in a summary before I go through it, it's basically sell all their players and then they can afford Musiala, which is, again, total kind of nonsense in my opinion. But the report in the Manchester Evening News was saying that United refused to rule out, the 3 players that they were mainly saying that United could sell in order to afford Musiala was Rashford. So United refused to rule out allowing Rashford to leave this summer, less than a year after signing a new 5-year contract, and the forward is rated as at around £80 million, with Paris Saint-Germain confirmed admirers. Then they also said that Anthony could also move on for at least £30 million next year for the club to avoid a loss under the under the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. Those fees added to the around £25 million that Chelsea are obliged to pay for Sancho next summer would cover the outlay for Musiala, while freeing up approaching 1 million in wages. So Manchester Evening News jumped on the Musiala links, which weren't really links with us. It was more of a story around Manchester City, and United's name was just mentioned in there like it always is to generate views. And then the Manchester Evening News are effectively saying, well, we sold Rashford, Anthony, and obviously Sancho, who's already technically been sold, then we could afford Musiala. Also said in their report, though, if we don't sell Anthony, we can sell Mason Mount. And then it mentioned things around Casemiro's wages, Eriksen's wages and stuff. And effectively, it was a piece saying, well, if Man United sold, around 8 players, we might be able to afford Musiala, which is correct. But obviously, we're clearly not viable. Again, finding a new home for Casemiro while having Eriksen, Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire's salaries off the books once their contracts expire next summer would also free up significant funds. So we're going to let Casemiro, Eriksen, Lindelof, Maguire go, sell Rashford, sell Sancho and sell Anthony. So 7 players. So according to the Manchester Evening News, we're going to sell 7 players and replace him with Musiala. That would be really, really clever business, wouldn't it? To get rid of 7 players and buy one for £120 million. Not going to happen. And then Fabrizio Romano has said that Bayern Munich's director said a new deal for Musiala. It will be difficult, but not impossible. Jamal knows what he is in Bayern. It's the club that took him to the top level. Talks are already underway and will now be intensified. Jamal should be the face of Bayern. So that came from Fabrizio Romano, kind of reposted a report coming from German outlets. So overall, in my opinion, the links with Musiala are either getting more interest to get Bayern Munich to increase their contract offer for Musiala, or potentially Manchester City could go in for him because they seem to be the only club that have £120 million that they could just go out and buy one player that would make a big difference. We are not in a position where we can spend £120 million on one player, especially if you go back to that Manchester Evening News report where we're going to sell effectively 7 players to be able to afford him. That's just ridiculous, in my opinion. It's not what Ineos are about. If he was available for cheaper, then I'm sure he would be a player of interest. In fact, I'm sure he's a player of interest anyway. But we're unfortunately not in a position where we can just go out and spend £120 million on one player. That's just, in my opinion, total nonsense. But I wanted to bring you the latest, and you can obviously let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now let's move on to another story regarding Casemiro. So Casemiro is expected to leave Manchester United in a move to Saudi Arabia either in January or next summer. Sources say the midfielder is already considering a move to the Saudi Pro League after a nightmare start to the season at Old Trafford. Despite having been linked with a move away from the club throughout this summer transfer window, Casemiro stayed put to keep his place in the team. And the report goes on to say that, however, the arrival of Manuel Ugarte is expected to push him down the pecking order under the management of Erik ten Hag. As a result of that, as well as his own fading abilities, the defensive midfielder is now expected to move to the Middle East, where he has attracted plenty of interest. Now, that came from Footy Insider, who are a kind of outlet that's got reliable journalists and less reliable journalists. That actually came from one of their more reliable journalists, being honest with you. But it's nothing new. Again, in my opinion, Casemiro being linked with a move to the Saudi Pro League heavily in the summer, although a move obviously never materialized because the Saudi leagues, they had a change in director, and they had a change in kind of transfer policy where they weren't going to be spending these sort of wages on Asian players. They wanted to get younger profile of players. Whether that will continue going forward or not, we'll have to wait and see. But again, Casemiro heavily linked with a move to Saudi, which I don't think is, it's not exactly breaking news. We knew that anyway, because he was heavily linked with a move in the summer, but could still be on the cards in the future, which, it is what it is with Casemiro. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one in the comments. Now, one player that will not be coming in to replace Casemiro is Adrien Rabiot. So Fabrizio Romano has said that Marseille are in advanced talk to sign Adrien Rabiot as new midfielder. Negotiations are underway with Rabiot on contract terms. Marseille are optimistic to get it done in the next 48 hours. Here we go, expected soon, so we can finally put the Adrien Rabiot to Man United noise to bed. He's not coming to Manchester United. Whether he was ever genuinely coming to Manchester United or whether we were being used as, let's put his name out there, linking with Manchester United to generate interest, clearly didn't work either if Marseille is his club of choice. Out of all the other teams that were linked with him, I've seen Newcastle, Liverpool, obviously a lot of Turkish sides as well, and he's ended up potentially going to Marseille. But at least we can finally box that one off as not happening. But let me know. And some of you actually correct in the comments have been saying that for weeks anyway with all the Rabiot noise. So fair play, and shout out to yous for those that have been saying that in the comments. But yeah, looks like he's obviously not going to Marseille, which, if that's his career decision, that's his career decision, isn't it? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then we finally completed 2 signings from the summer. So Manchester United received approval from the Premier League following the ratification process for the signing of Samuel Lusale and James Ovary. The club is still waiting approval for Chido Ubi Martin's pending transfer, though, as well. That came from Academy Scoop, really credible with United Academy news. So finally, we've got Lusale and James Ovary, who's a right back we signed from Australia. Lusale, very good, very highly regarded winger. Both now got the kind of Premier League approval. Still waiting for Chido Martins, whether that's because there's a little bit of salt between Arsenal, we don't know, but it's not expected to be any issues. That one just seems like it's dragging out a little bit longer. May end up going to court. That one, but exciting. I like getting these kind of young players in. Be interesting to see how they develop. Definitely names to keep an eye on for the future. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then the next story came from Laurie Whitwell, where they were saying that Jason Wilcox's role is to work closely with the Manchester United first team, watching sessions and providing assistance to Ten Hag. He was also across the summer signings of Chido Martin and Sekou Kone. So that came from Laurie Whitwell, very credible when it comes to United news, kind of bigging up Jason Wilcox's role within the club, saying that he's working, and observing the training sessions and everything like that as well with Ten Hag, and also very, very key when it came to signing Chido Martin and Sekou Kone. So already starting to see the benefits of having football specialists in football positions making football decisions. And just on Kone, Laurie Whitwell also said that Kone will go into the academy with a view to first team involvement in the medium term, given Ten Hag's need for a number 6. The kind of bridge transfer United have not typically done. It was an aim of the new leadership team to assign a good budget to the pursuit of such players, with Ashworth providing oversight. So that was interesting. So United specifically set a small budget aside to go out and target these younger players or these little unknown players as well, which is something United have never done before, not recently anyway, where we've kind of said, okay, well, let's have a little pot of money so we can go out and buy these little hidden gems, give them a chance to win £1 million on Kone. Is nothing in the grand scheme of things for Manchester United's salary. And then obviously we will end up paying some compensation for the other younger players. But really interesting that was actually by design, where they kind of said, okay, well, as part of the budget, we'll put a little pot aside to go out and get these players. Massively exciting if that's the side of things to come. And then obviously going forward, hopefully that pot can increase, and we, with the Ashworth and Wilcox and everyone getting that, when they get their feet under the table a little bit more, hopefully that will lead to a few more of these little gems going forward. But yeah, thought that was an interesting update from Laurie Whitwell that I wanted to bring to you. And it just keeping with Dan Ashworth, there is conviction internally at Manchester United that the compensation paid to to Newcastle for Dan Ashworth, around £2.5 to £3 million, is money well spent. He has brought a sense of stability and professionalism, and that's, could go down as one of the best signings United have done in recent history, bringing in Dan Ashworth. He's obviously very highly regarded, very experienced, has apparently already come in and made, some really good decisions in terms of not just helping the first team, the transfers, also the women's team as well, the reserves. Do you know what I mean? He's been heavily involved in a lot of that, and that's what he is. That's the kind of capability of bringing in somebody like Dan Ashworth. Could be one of the best kind of few £1 million that we've spent definitely in recent times. Could be key to kind of getting us back just being professional again. Because we've always done things half-assed, or we've always kind of messed around with certain things, not either done it professionally or properly, or overspent on certain areas that have then led to issues in other areas. Do you know what I mean? And he just seems to be that kind of person that's going to be the glue that gels everything together and actually has that kind of vision. But yeah, massively important to get there, and hopefully we'll see the rewards of that in the come. Massively important to get these sort of people in charge. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then finally, just wanted to give a little shout out to Amad Diallo. Statman Dave was saying that Amad has created twice as many chances as any other Manchester United player in the Premier League so far this season. Amad is currently creating a chance every 26 minutes on average in the Premier League this season. He's also been named in a few teams of the week, along with Matthias de Ligt. Rightly so. I thought him and de Ligt were outstanding at the weekend. Check out the player ratings if you haven't seen it already, and share your thoughts or your ratings on there as well. But just wanted to give a little shout out to Amad. I think he's having a really good start to the season. Statistically as well, he's absolutely I think I sure I've seen a stat that was saying outside of Cole Palmer, he's created some of the more chances in the Premier League as well. I might be wrong on that. That might have been that was probably like a few days ago as well. But Amad Diallo, just wanted to give him a little shout out just to say that so far his performances at the start of the season are probably one of the the results have been terrible, haven't they? the performance is not the best as well. So it's been a medium start to the season at best. But Amad Diallo, I think, has been standing out so far. So shout out to him. And that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I do enjoy reading them. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.